Good afternoon, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about mysticism. And if you have been following my videos, you might know that I've had a few mystical experiences myself. And I thought this was a good time to talk about this experience just in general. And I'll be talking a little bit more about some of these similar ideas in the next few videos. But for today's video, I'd love to start with this quotation, which says, "Just as treasures are uncovered from the earth, so virtue appears from good deeds, and wisdom appears from a pure and peaceful mind. To walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue." Okay, so the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. And that's by Buddha. And it's such a deep concept, right? So in this whole idea, it's a treasure, right? This light of wisdom is a treasure, and the guidance of virtue is also necessary in this necessary, I'll say, helpful in this path. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about this. And often when we think about virtues or we think about a good life or the good life, we're thinking about something that a lot of people will link with religion. And it's interesting how that has also changed over time. But if we come right down to what is a good life, a lot of people might say it's a spiritual life or a religious life. And why do we say that? It's filled with virtue, right? Now, today, when we talk about a good life, we're thinking more commercialism most often, right? So if a person is able to travel a lot, they're able to build homes, if they're able to live in large homes, if they're able to eat the best food, if they're able to ah, afford everything that money could buy, that's kind of the good life as we see it today. And you can see that it leans much more towards commercialism. And yet, no one would say that it's a good person living that commercially good life, right? So it's not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that a person living in success in that way is not a good person, but oftentimes we will link a good life in terms of truly virtuous life as someone who's living without ego, right? So this is a selfless perspective. And as we know that again, if you've seen some of my videos, you'll know I speak about this relatively regularly, but I'm hoping to plant some more seeds in your head this month. And I'll start with this video to talk about this idea of mysterious. So again, even when people move into religion or spirituality a little bit more, there comes this space, or you might know that there's comes this space where certain powers can be experienced by an individual. And these powers might have powers of healing, might have powers of knowing something. So something that's happening to someone. It's almost like an ESP, telepathic sort of idea. These skills and powers, in the past, there's a Sanskrit word known siddhis, and siddhis definitely demonstrated supernatural powers. And if you look at our history, even in terms of saints of the past, many had some supernatural or what we could say is mystical powers. And oftentimes, in fact, many were tested to see how true they are, how real they are, how good they are, by proving that they had something that was mystical or magical, right? So in this, it's really important for us to think and understand, do we understand the self when we see this? So even when we're judging someone else of, is this person really authentic in terms of spiritual or religious? Oftentimes we won't actually accept that they are until they've proven something. And does that make someone more religious or spiritual or living a good life? So remember, whether we look at religiousness or we look at spirituality, this is a way of life, right? Now, most religions will say this, most spiritual directions will say this, that living a good life means day to day to day. Meditation also says the same thing. It's not about just that 1 hour of meditation that a person might be doing it a day or even 15 minutes. It's not just that. It is that every thought, word, and action follows in this way, that it is coming from a good space, a virtuous space. And so I thought I'd share a couple of other quotes, of course. One of them is by Swami Sivananda, and it says, always do good to others, be selfless, mentally remove everything, and be free. This is divine life. This is the direct way to moksha or salvation. Now, you may or may not be interested in moksha or salvation, but certainly I think most of us have a real regard for peace, love, joy, like all of these things that come up around Christmas time, right? When we're connecting our thoughts and our experience or our awareness with the divine energies that are, for many, linked to this season. And when we think about this, are we doing this for ourselves to live this divine life, this ethical life, this consciously directed life, right? So I remember I wrote down this note, this mention that I wanted to share with you, and it says, enforced morality is not a religious life. Enforced morality is not a religious life. And I think again, tis the season, right? So I have to talk about this because I know a lot of people might go to church or a temple or a mosque in this season feeling morally superior to another, and that's not a religious life. And whether it's happening just because, well, because my religion is the best religion, this is the right way. And it doesn't matter whether a person is spiritual or not. As soon as they get into the ego space of this is the best, it's away from a religious life and it's away from a good life. So again, then ego taints that experience of a person, right? So in that, really interesting that when a person is starting to feel mystical experiences, and meditation can often get people to these spaces, and I've certainly experienced it myself, the trick, I'm going to say, and I'm hoping I can hold on to this nugget of information for my own learning too, and hopefully some of you will get it for your learning. The trick is to recognize, to not get attached. This is something I can do, right? So what happened to healers or saints or anyone in the past who had these powers is eventually there came a point where they weren't able to show this power. And suddenly there's disbelief on the other side, right? Because unless someone has that power, I don't believe. The fact is, unless someone is meant to be transmitting, sharing an energy from a divine source with people from this pure space, it doesn't happen. So, in that, always important to remember that it's not based on the individual saying, this is what I want to do, this is what I can do, and I'll show you that. It's not like that. It's the whole feeling is, I am choosing to be good. It's not that because I do this, I am good. Because I have this power, I am good. So, that sort of idea. So, with this quotation, it's this whole idea of all we have to do is be good to others, be selfless, right? Mentally remove everything. So as soon as my mind joins onto, because I do this, because I am this, because I live this way, because I act this way, because I eat this way, because I pray this way, all of these things become egocentric. And to be in a selfless space, we try to pull away from that space. So I leave you with that thought today. And I've got one more quotation. I thought, I always like to leave you with 5 minutes of some sort of practice. And, I'll come back to love because I believe that, again, this love is a powerful, powerful experience that we can experience and share with the world. And then this love from that divine space of love is something very different than the selfish love that I'll do this lovingly for this person because I'm expecting this back, right? So that's very different. Or if this person stops doing this, I'm not going to love them, right? So a more selfish perspective. Love from the selfless space is fantastic. So how could we do this for 5 minutes after this video? Try it through this quotation. This quotation is by Tony Gaskin, and it says, love a person the way they need to be loved, not the way you want to love. It's not about you. Love is selfless, not selfish. So important, right? Love a person the way they need to be loved, not the way you want to love. So I leave you to think about that for 5 minutes, and I hope practice that for the rest of the day, if not the rest of your life. And I look forward to seeing you next time. I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.